We'll be live in the next 30 seconds.
Great.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all have started your marathon journey and are on your way to submitting your entries. You all know that our last date is April 10th. This year's marathon is special in many, many ways. We brought you the problem statements live from the policymakers of our government this time. We gave you also the freedom to choose your own problem statement in the area that you live in and ideate and innovate for that. This year, another very special thing and exciting thing for all of you is that we're giving tablets to each member of the top 75 teams because we celebrate the 75 years of independence with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The top 10 teams, which are from the all-girl team category, the top 10 teams from rural areas, top 10 all government school teams, top 10 teams from aspirational districts, and top 10 teams with children with special needs will also get exciting goodies like STEM kits, books, and other exciting prizes. As always, participation certificates are for everyone who submits an entry. So please gear up, pick a problem statement, think of an idea, build a solution prototype, and submit it. It's that simple. Today, we bring to you a very special YouTube live on cybersecurity and how to be cyber smart. Most of you use various online tools, websites to do your research, to learn about new things, to connect with your friends, maybe, and so on. But this digital world that you all are using needs to be understood so that you can keep yourself safe while you're on the internet. Our partner, WNS and WNS Cares Foundation, has a module called Cybersmart, which is on our website and is free to use for all schools and students. Through this, over thousands of ATLs have become Cybersmart till date. We have with us today Mr. Arup Chatterjee. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at WNS. He is responsible for the information and cybersecurity strategy across the company. With over 20 years of experience in the IT and cybersecurity, he is also working as a mentor with METI and DSCI for the Grand Challenge for Cybersecurity program and is associated with the WNS Cares Foundation as a mentor and volunteer. We also have Tarang. He is a seasoned and recognized cybersecurity professional with over 18 years of experience in the areas of information security. He is currently leading the WNS Security Operations Center, internal and external audits, and other information security compliance activities. He's also closely working with Arup on the global information security initiatives at WNS. Finally, we also have Vaibhav, who leads CSR for Gurgaon, Noida, China, and Philippines locations. He also leads the ATL Cybersmart program. Many of you, as teachers, principals, would have interacted with him. He has over 17 years of experience and with 6 years in this CSR domain. So, welcome, Arup, Tarang, and Vaibhav. We are really delighted to have you with us today and really looking forward to an interesting session. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Swati. It's a pleasure to be on this platform once again. I remember being part of this initiative last year as well, and look forward to having an interesting conversation with my little friends here who are participating, and let's have a great session together. Thank you. Vaibhav, do you want to pick it up from here?
Yeah, so we can have the presentation. So Swati, we can move to the next slides. Yep. So what we will be covering और आज का कार्यक्रम क्या है? So it would be Cybersmart initiatives, the overview of WNS Cares Foundation and Cybersmart portal, your cyber defense essentials, that how you are securing your computing environment, responsible usage of the cyberspace, कि आप cyberspace को कैसे responsibly use करेंगे, जिसके अंदर cyber safety risks to watch out for, which is cyberbullying, cyber stalking, digital footprints, phishing attacks, and the last topic which we'll be covering would be cyber security as a career path. कि अगर आपको career opportunities के through cyber security को देखना है, so how you can go with this, in which we will be covering cyber security, the learning curve, and who needs cyber security professionals, कि कहाँ कहाँ पे आपकी requirement या ज़रूरत है as a career opportunity. Next slide, Prati. So Cybersmart initiatives. So this is the overview about WNS KS Foundation. WNS company or organization के बारे में है. So WNS Holdings Limited, it's a New York stock exchange. WNS is a leading business process management company. And WNS combines deep industry knowledge with technology, analytics, and process expertise to co-create innovative digitally led transformational solutions. We work with over 375 clients across various industries through 49,000 plus professionals across 61 delivery centers worldwide. And our reach is in India, Philippines, South Africa, Poland, Romania, Spain, Australia, China, Costa Rica, Sri Lanka, Turkey, the United Kingdoms, and the United States. So this is about WNS as an organization. And on the right-hand side, there is information about WNS Cares Foundation, which is the CSR arm of WNS Global Services and has metamorphed from being a social initiative to a foundation that continues to bring significant and lasting impact to the lives of lesser privileged children and youth through holistic education. Our mission in WCF is to educate, empower, and enrich. And WCF's bouquet of programs impact the lives of more than 540,000 lesser privileged children annually from 713 schools in 13 countries. And the deeply transformative programs touch multiple facets of the lives of our beneficiaries and have been making a difference since 2011. Next slide. So this is a small video journey of Cybersmart portal, how it originated. So can we have the video, please?
India is witnessing an exponential surge in the number of people going online,
So we have
resulting
to share the
in
screen
an
on this one.
unprecedented majority of
The PPT is coming. We can share the video. Yeah.
India is witnessing an exponential surge in the number of people going online, resulting in an unprecedented majority of young children being exposed to the internet, spending hours on social media, online education, playing games, and browsing entertainment websites, among other things. While empowering, this early and unprepared exposure to the virtual world also poses serious threats to their safety and personal growth. Devastating cases of cyberbullying, dangerous stranger contact, and other improper uses of the internet involving children are on the rise. So how do we counter this growing menace? Coming from a global digital transformation business heritage, we at WNS Cares Foundation feel responsible to build a safer cyber ecosystem. Introducing Cybersmart, a revolutionary cyber safety education platform that is engaging and empowering for stakeholders through knowledge. Just as a school secures a child's future through education and cultivation of values, Cybersmart secures their digital life through cyber safety knowledge and engagement. The Cybersmart platform provides guided tutorials for teachers to take cybersecurity awareness sessions for their students. Since cyber safety nuances differ for each age group, the Cybersmart portal has age-appropriate lesson modules. The Cybersmart portal provides a holistic and immersive learning environment, making it fun with gamification and effective through interactive quizzes. When using the portal, no personal data is captured. This secures the overall learning experience. Cybersmart also provides a badge or certification upon completion of a chosen module, making your learning journey credible and rewarding. Eliminating the biggest hurdle to quality cyber education, the Cybersmart portal is completely free to use, empowering teachers, students, parents, and volunteers alike. Led by a purpose to educate, empower, and enrich lives, WNS Cares Foundation has been championing digital literacy for the lesser privileged students, aimed at keeping the children safe in the online environment. Our impact initiatives like Cyber Sword and Think, Talk, Teach inspired to co-create lives for a progressive digital future. We welcome you to join us on our mission to keep our children cyber safe. Cybersmart by WNS Foundation, a step towards building a secure digital world.
Thanks for the video. So this is how the portal looks like. It's a free-for-all gamified cybersecurity portal for children. You can see the link which is on AIM website also, and below is the direct link which you can use from searching from Google portal. So next slide. And these are the glimpse when you take your learning journey, when you try to become yourself, make yourself a cyber smart student. So these are the different pages, how it will look. So different portal, different pages, and it has multiple regional languages. So apart from English, the portal is accessible in 9 other regional languages. So wherever, in whichever part of country you are, basis your selection of language, you can change, and the content of the entire portal will change into that regional language. Yep. Next slide. So over to you, Arup sir, for the cyber defense essentials.
Sure. Before I step in, I think Tarang wanted to introduce a few things as part of this initial presentation before I step in and I take over the session. So Tarang, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Arup. And thanks a lot, Swati, for that quick introduction at the beginning of the session. Right. So as we are here on the slide, and I'm sure all of you who are seen the video in the past would have definitely related to them in some form or the other, wherein our lives have been integrated very well with those mobile phones, the tabs, and those laptops and desktops, right, which have now become an integral part of our lives, right from watching videos on YouTube just for the sake of having fun or just for the sake of learning, the sake of education. Now, since the last 2.5 years in the pandemic, people were actually forced to kind of take tuitions online, the study online, the schools were online, right? So it's becoming a day-to-day part of our own lives every day, right? So there are certain things when we adopt technology, right? So there are some basic things that we all need to take care of while we are adapting to the new environment as we proceed further. I'll just take a real life example, right? So I was just thinking, like, when I was into this industry 20 years ago, when I started my career, I started with just designing HTML pages. I've used to get projects like, okay, just create a website wherein you can sell flowers to online customers. During that point in time, we were how will this entire thing will be entirely developed and how actually it will grow, right? So during that point in time, nobody used to even think that this thing called internet, the websites, could actually be more useful in the day-to-day lives of each and every individual, right? While we adopt this new technology, if you can just go to the next slide, there are some very basic things that needs to be taken care of, right? So we all have user IDs and passwords now being given to our children or to our students from their schools, from their classes, right? The tuition that they take, right? Your parents must be using a lot of internet applications and internet banking as well, which has user IDs and passwords that needs to be taken care of, right? So we have to always ensure that the basic things from a security perspective are taken care of. The basic thing is the password that you select should not be easily guessable by anyone, right? The person that you know. So if my name is Tarang Parikh, right, the password definitely should not have my first name and the last name, right? It should be at least complex, which should not be easily guessable by anybody who knows me, right? Whenever you are using Wi-Fi, because people nowadays are using Wi-Fi at least almost 8 hours a day, at least for their studies or for entertainment purposes or things like that, right? Whenever you ensure, right, there are multiple places that offer free Wi-Fi connections, right? Please make sure that you use a trusted Wi-Fi connection, right, or use your mobile internet rather than latching on yourself or your devices to a Wi-Fi solution that is providing you free internet, right? Because there are always possibilities wherein a person who intentionally might be having access to your mobile phones or to your laptop without even you coming to know, right? Always, whenever at home, your office laptop or your a personal device that you use at home, not only you, even your parents might be using, not frequently. You always have to ensure that the software which is installed, maybe the Microsoft operating system, right, is a genuine one, is a licensed one, and it also is accompanied by an anti-malware or antivirus solution, right? Or that is also a licensed one. There are a lot of other free solutions that are already available on the internet, but you never know which is a genuine one and which might also end up downloading a malware into your system, right? So whenever you use anything, just make sure that you use a genuine licensed product for whatever work that you are doing on your personal home system or your laptop or your desktop, right? Also, when you also get links on your email, right, to download a specific link which has been shared by anybody, either from your school or from your friends, please make sure that the source of the download is genuine and you do not ending up downloading a malicious software on your system, right? Because it might end up corrupting your data, which is always there on your system, right? You must have heard about this thing called as ransomware, which is quite prevalent nowadays, right? So what happens is a lot of other bad actors are targeting large organizations to encrypt their entire data, and the data goes for a toss, right? So in that case, the lesson that we learn also, it's not only for corporates, but it's always important to keep our personal data also as secure as we keep our official data secure, right? Because you must have a lot of your friends' photographs right from your childhood till the current age that you are at right now, right? So it is very important to keep our data right backed up on a periodic basis, at least once in a week or twice in a week. It's very much important for yourself to keep a data backed up on a periodic basis, right? So whatever I just mentioned, right, it is not only applicable for your workstations, your desktops and laptops, but it is also applicable for your smartphone that you guys use, right? I'm sure most of us on this call right now are already using a smartphone for the day-to-day activities, again, right from playing games till accessing social media websites or for their day-to-day communication with your friends as well, right? So we use WhatsApp, we use Telegram, we use multiple other tools for day-to-day communication. And there are always possibilities that you always get the links from some of your friends, right? It might be a link wherein your friend might be telling you, hey, this is a link, you'll get 500 rupees coupon. You please download this software and then you'll get some gift back, right? So these are some of the things that you should definitely be doubly sure before you even go ahead and click on the link, right? And if anybody is sending that information or that malicious link to you, you should be always asking the person to just check the validity of the link, making sure that it is genuine, and then only access that specifically, right? Again, in terms of social media, right, I'm talking about the basic things. We'll definitely cover the other advanced areas in the subsequent slides. Again, social media account, right? So the millennials nowadays, the people who are quite young, including me as well, right? So while I'm a I'm a security professional right now, I also use social media, and everybody who is there on this call mostly use it, right? So there are certain basic things, right, that you should always ensure that whenever you use such critical or some applications, right, you should always ensure that you enable multi-factor authentication for all such applications that provide that facility, right? So nowadays, initially people used to go to the bank for depositing the check, right? Then in the last few years, people actually are now doing online transactions, going to the bank websites. Now even people do not need to go online. They can directly control everything from their mobile phones itself using a mobile applications, right? So all the top leading banks are providing this facility of having a mobile application wherein you can easily transfer money from one person to the other, right? So in that case, it becomes very easier for the bad actors who have bad intention to kind of misuse that facility and use it for their own gain, right? So the best practice over here is to make sure that you enable the multi-factor authentication, right, which is either a push notification or a multi-factor or a OTP, which has been sent to your mobile number, right? And one more important thing is whatever mobile number that you are using, right, for those critical things like your banking account should not be linked to, or I would say should be avoided to be used with your social media accounts, right? Because the data nowadays is kind of mostly available to many other people across the globe in some form or the other. And there are lots of ways to identify a lot of critical things, right, about people, right, by social engineering as well. Recently, I was just having a discussion with my daughter, right, and she got a WhatsApp message from one of the friend. It was like, what is your birthday? If your birthday falls in the month of January, March, or October, you are a very sweet person. If it falls in the month of February, April, and September, you are a very innocent person, right? So it had actually given 4 months, and in the end, it had mentioned, right? So what kind of a person are you? So if somebody reverts back, it actually does nothing but actually reveals your actual birth date, which you intentionally don't even come to know about, right? So that is where we have to keep in mind that who is a genuine person who is actually playing a game with you or actually trying to reveal confidential information to gain some access to your information, right? So these are some of the key things that you should be always careful, right? While adopting to this new technology, maybe in the form of a laptop or a desktop or a smartphone or any application in a manner. Any specific questions, Arup? Maybe any thoughts on this?
No, Taran, I think we're good. We're going to cover a lot of this in detail in the subsequent
Absolutely.
slides. In interest of time, I think Swati, can you move to the next slide, please, and I'll take it over from here.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Before I start, I just want to repeat my name is Arup. I'm your cyber dost for this session. And just want to make sure that I talk your language and I convey the message in a language that you can understand. We're going to have a Q&A session in the end where you will be given an opportunity to ask a few questions. Every question is good. If we are able to answer the questions on screen, we will answer them. If the questions are too difficult, we will take them back and we'll come back to you or an email or an alternate channel in conveying the messages back to you. Right. Some of the key things that I wanted to, and before actually I start off, I actually had kept a quote that I wanted to just read out to you guys, which I somehow I find relevant for today's session. This is a quote by Professor Fenneman. He's a very famous physicist, and his quotes are life inspiring. So this is a quote which goes like this: if you're wrong, admit it. If you're confused, ask questions. If you're stuck, seek help. If you make mistakes, learn from it. If you learn something, teach others. So in my career as IT professional and transforming into a security professional, I'm almost 25 years since I passed off from my engineering, and my entire life's journey has been learning on the job more than what I learned from books. And what I learned is that by teaching, by conveying the message of things that I've learned to others freely, my ability to comprehend the subject has increased. Right? So always spread knowledge. That is the best way you can master a subject, improvise your own learning. Because when you're teaching somebody, you need to be thorough about the subject. Right? So that's just a small takeaway, which got nothing to do with cyber. It's just a life lesson, which I thought I would like to share with you. I want to talk about a few pertinent topics today: cyberbullying, cyber stalking, digital footprints, phishing attacks. If you remove the word cyber or digital or some of the technical terms from here, these are things that you probably face on a day-to-day basis. Nothing to do with the computing environment, nothing to do with Antrajal or the internet or the digital world that we live in. Can we move to the next slide, please? Right. Some of the key things that bother most children or probably are more important than talking about the big boys problem on the internet, things like corporate risks that we see, data theft, privacy violations, etc., etc. Some of the key things that I see getting impacted, which have higher impact on children, is cyber safety. Uh, uh, some of the things include here probably are around cyberbullying, stalking, footprints, digital footprints, and phishing. And I will elaborate on each of these topics in the subsequent slide. Vaibhav, do you want to add something here before I step into the details of this particular area? Because you have been conducting a lot of classroom training with a lot of schools. So maybe you want to share a short bite about your experience before I deep dive into this subject.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली सो जैसा कि आप सबने देखा सो ये साइबर बुलिंग साइबर स्टॉकिंग डिजिटल फुटप्रिंट्स या फिशिंग सो ये थोड़े बहुत अगर साइबर को हटा दे तो ये सारे नॉर्मल टर्म्स हैं साइबर या डिजिटल ऐड करने से थोड़े से टेक्निकल हो जाते हैं बट रियल लाइफ में भी हम इस चीज के साथ अपने आप को रिलेट कर सकते हैं कॉमन लोगों के साथ भी ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं एंड दिस इज नॉट रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू चिल्ड्रंस ओनली ये बच्चों से लिमिटेड नहीं है ये बड़ों के साथ भी ये सारी चीजें रियल लाइफ में होती हैं जैसे ऑनलाइन अगर आपको कोई फोन आता है ओटीपी पूछने के लिए आपका केवाईसी करने के लिए तो वो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो सिर्फ बच्चों की सेशंस भी लिए थे विद डिफरेंट टूल्स सो उन्होंने अपने एक्सपीरियंस इसको भी शेयर कि उनकी सारी चीजें होती हैं कोई बैंक का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बन के फोन करता है आपको बोलता है आपका केवाईसी कर रहे हैं और आपका हमारे को ओटीपी चाहिए बट थोड़ी देर बाद आपके बैंक से एक ट्रांजेक्शन का मैसेज आता है या अगर कोई आपके नाम का फेक आईडी बनाता है तो वो जरूरी नहीं बच्चों का ही बनाएगा वो बड़ों के साथ भी वो करता है बुलिंग करते हैं आपसे आपकी जानकारी शेयर पूछी जाती है कि आप कहाँ पढ़ाई करते हो या बड़ों को भी साइबर स्टॉक किया जाता है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि जो ये टॉपिक्स हैं ये सिर्फ बच्चों से रिलेटेड है ये बड़े लोगों के साथ भी ये चीजें होती हैं बच्चों को इसलिए वो टारगेट करते हैं क्योंकि वो सॉफ्ट टारगेट है वो इजीली उस चीज के अंदर फंस जाते हैं तो इसीलिए उनका सॉफ्ट टारगेट के लिए बच्चों को हम चाहते हैं कि उनके राइट एज पे उनको राइट अवेयरनेस मिले ताकि वो अपने साइबर एक्सपीरियंस को अच्छे से एंजॉय कर सके। क्योंकि आने वाला टाइम जो है, अभी हमने ऑलरेडी 2 साल ऑब्जर्व किया है, वो सारा वर्चुअल में कन्वर्ट हो गया है। क्लासेस भी ऑनलाइन हो गई हैं, एंटरटेनमेंट भी हम ऑनलाइन तरीके से यूज़ कर रहे हैं। हमारे को अगर किसी से बात भी करनी है तो वो ऑनलाइन ही यूज़ कर रहे हैं, फिजिकली जाना बंद हो गया था, कम हो गया था। सो इसीलिए इन सब चीज़ों की वजह से जो साइबर बैड एलिमेंट्स हैं, जो फ्रॉड्स हैं या साइबर क्राइम्स हैं या बुलिंग है, वो और बढ़ गई थी, क्योंकि यूसेज में एक बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंक्रीज़ हो गया था बिकॉज़ ऑफ दीज़ थिंग्स। तो इसीलिए ये और ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है आप सबके लिए टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कैसे अपने आप को सेफ रखा जा सकता है ऑन साइबर वर्ल्ड। बैक टू यू रूप सर।
Yeah. Swati, can we move to the next slide? Right. Cyberbullying के बारे में थोड़ा बात करते हैं. I'm sure it's no surprise for any child what is the term bullying, right? Or intimidation. We all have been to schools. बचपन में हमारे साथ भी कुछ घटनाएं ऐसी हो चुकी हैं. Simple things. You being cornered away from the class during a recess break. Somebody eating your tiffin before you even realize it. Somebody making fun of you when you get low marks in exam and they call out your name. Somebody flattening your car cycle, bicycle tires in school, right? So bullying has been something which is inherent part of not only basically it is basically harassing, right? दूसरों को परेशान करना या harass करना, but bullying का over a point of time impact जो हम लोग देखते आ रहे हैं, especially COVID-19 era or post COVID-19 as we are seeing, जब लोग people were restricted to the confinements of their homes when they were already low in their minds, they were low in their energy levels, they were not able to meet their friends, घर में बंद थे, जो भी बातचीत होती थी कंप्यूटर के द्वारा होती थी या फोन पे होती थी. Lot of people resorted to social media as an alternative method for communication. आप सोशल मीडिया से अपने रिलेटिव्स के साथ बातें करते थे, अपने नाना नानी दादा दादी से बात करते थे, अपने दोस्तों के साथ गेम्स खेलते थे. So even in these platforms, so what we call as cyberbullying has been very predominant, where people have been targeted by doing things, simple things, right? Somebody may post an inappropriate picture of you. आपके फोटो को मॉर्फ करके, if for example if you are a little obese, आपका वजन ज्यादा है, they may portray you as somebody who is fat, or they may call you names. They might spread a rumor about you, or with some people which may have a negative impact, where people may imagine you a little differently, send you hurtful messages even though they may be sending it jokingly, but it can have an impact on a child. And we have seen drastic impact of cyberbullying on children, and what damage it can do to people. Children don't want to go to school, children don't want to talk to anybody, they don't want to eat their food. So it's as Webb mentioned, ये सिर्फ बच्चों के साथ नहीं होता है, बड़ों के साथ भी होता है, but बड़े शायद cope up कर लेते हैं, बच्चों जल्दी cope up नहीं कर पाते. So you have to be very important how that cyberbullying is a phenomenon which is global. डराना धमकाना, बदमाशी, दादागिरी, सताना, तंग करना, ये बहुत कॉमन है, सिर्फ आपके साथ नहीं हो रहा है, दूसरों के साथ भी हो रहा है. अब इससे कैसे बचे और इसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? Can we go to the next slide, Swati? Right. सबसे पहला step cyberbullying का, what I think personally, right? You may agree or disagree. You have to first look at your own behavior. हम क्या करते हैं? Are we also part of the same gang of people who bully other people? Just because I have been caught up in this particular problem this time, I am a victim, but how have I victimized other people as well? Right? आप जब भी कुछ भी पोस्ट इंटरनेट पे डालते हो या सोशल मीडिया में डालते हो, आर यू रियली श्योर व्हाट यू आर पुटिंग? आप जो लिख रहे हो उसकी बहुत जरूरत है, सही आप जो लिख रहे हो वो सही है, आप जो लिख रहे हो उससे किसी को दुख तो नहीं पहुंचेगा, आप जो लिख रहे हो कहीं वो इलीगल तो नहीं है, राइट? या आप ऐसा कुछ लिख रहे हो जिससे दूसरों को परेशानी हो. तो आपको सबसे पहले अपने खुद के बिहेवियर और एक्शंस को चेक करना है, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम होम एंड स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम योरसेल्फ फर्स्ट, राइट? इसके पहले कि आप किसी साइबर बुली या जो आपको परेशान कर रहे हैं आप उनको जवाब दो या उल्टा जवाब दो, पहले द बेस्ट वे टू स्टॉप समबडी फ्रॉम बुलिंग यू इज टू इग्नोर देम. आप उनको इग्नोर करो. तो आप 2 दिन इग्नोर करोगे, तीसरे दिन इग्नोर करोगे, चौथे दिन वो करना छोड़ देगा, बोले इसके ऊपर कुछ फायदा नहीं होता इसको बोल के, राइट? डोंट फॉर्म गैंग अप ऑन पीपल. If there are group of 2-3 people who come together and try to harass somebody, stay away from such people. Don't join these gangs and become a bigger bully, right? Because the impact could be on somebody else. And obviously, very very important, lesson in life. I'm sure you trust somebody in your family, in your friends, or some elders who may know about these things a little better than you, right? While we understand that you guys are much smarter generation, we are metamorphosized into far more intelligent people. But the question is, there is some people who may have learned from experiences and may have seen the world a little more than you. So please, when you are under stress, when you are under duress, talk to your parents, talk to your elders, talk to your elder brother, talk to your elder sister, talk to your grandparents. They may be able to give you some answer or a solution to the problem. नहीं बात करके अपने अंदर छुपा के अपने अपने आप को तकलीफ देने से कोई सॉल्यूशन नहीं बनता है, right? So this is a common thought process that we have on this area, and you should definitely look into this particular area and practice this in your life. Can we move next, Swati? Similarly, another area that we popularly see or is becoming a concern is cyber stalking and online predators. Online predators are very similar to people who stalk other people in their real life. So, for example, there is a person who trails. आप जब स्कूल से आते हो आपके पीछे दो अनजान व्यक्ति आपको डेली फॉलो करते हैं घर की तरफ आते हैं. Whether you're a boy or whether you're a girl is irrespective. What is the motive behind it, you may not know. So that person is following you for whatever reasons. He may be enjoying it. He may be probably trying to befriend you, or he may have certain intentions, right? So that's a very similar example of somebody who is a stranger, is trying to follow you, befriend you, or trying to make use of you, or trying to probably utilize some things from you, right? A persistent behavior being demonstrated by somebody. You have to recognize these things even on the internet. So, for example, if you're a social media savvy person who enters chat rooms or who enters public groups where people communicate with each other, you have to ensure that you define your boundaries on who do I talk to and who I don't. It is very difficult for you to determine whether the person sitting on the other side of the fence. Right now, I'm talking to you, but there are technologies available where I can deepfake my own identity and appear to be something very different than what I really am. I can modulate my voice, I can modulate my screen, I can modulate my video when I'm communicating with you, right? So therefore, you have to be really careful in being able to identify the identity of the person on the other side of the screen and what is the intention with which that person is trying to make a friend out of you, right? It can have devastating impacts on people's lives, not only children, but elders alike. There are many financial frauds and social and multiple other types of cyber crimes which have been recently picked up by the agencies which relate to the area of cyber stalking and online what we call as online ransom. People have been held to ransom just because they said something or they communicated something to somebody else and misusing that against them, right, by blackmailing those people. So you have to be very careful on what information you post online, what do you speak, who do you really befriend, and most importantly, be very careful about posting your personal information. When I'm talking about personal information, आपका personal information, आपका नाम, पता, telephone number, email address, anything that allows you to identify your location, your identity, your persona, your city from where you're operating, your school, and what do you do in life, and likes and dislikes, right? You don't want an online predator to be knocking on your doorstep just because you shared your telephone number and that person identified your home address by virtue of the telephone number that you shared. Right? All this sounds very dark and gloomy, but believe me, these are things that are happening. You have to be careful. Every time we think that it is happening to somebody else, but this is the reality of life. There are more good people out there than bad, but the bad numbers are also increasing. Our safety is in our own hands, right? And this doesn't take any sophistication. You don't need to be a cybersecurity expert to prevent a technology-based attack or a nation state trying to take down your company or some kind of malware which is going to take down your network. We're talking about you protecting your own self, your own identities, right? So be very careful. And again, the golden message in my communication here is please seek help from elders, your parents when in doubt, right? You like somebody, there's a cute looking boy out there who looks like a very nice person, seems to be of your age, wants to befriend you, looks like living in the same neighborhood, wants to go cycling with you, or wants to exchange notes with you or study with you, make sure that you validate the identity of the person. It's not necessary that you need to decline everything, right? But there are methods of validating or being able to make sure that how you identify the individual, right? That's just want to give an opportunity to the team here to add anything, because I'm going impromptu. I don't usually try to go with the screen here, so I'll leave it to the team here if they want to add something.
Yeah, just to add what Arup sir just mentioned about technology, right? The recent example that I'm sure everybody would have watched the ad from Shah Rukh Khan for Cadbury's during this Diwali, right? So Cadbury actually had launched a campaign wherein every small shop across India would actually advertise their product using Shah Rukh Khan as their brand ambassador. Right? It was a very brief moment for which it was introduced, but it actually gives an idea, right, as to how technology can go in the near future and how it can be definitely been used or it can definitely be misused as well. As Arup was mentioning about the deepfake thing that is currently kind of being identified and visible in the corporate world, right? Definitely all these technologies, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, combined together can definitely lead to a malicious practice as well, right? Similarly, how useful it is, right? So it can be used in multiple ways as anybody would want in the near future. Sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah. So I was saying that like cyber stalking में या online predators के बारे में. So there was an example in which I was having a session with the school teacher, and she brought this discussion that her kid was asked by someone stating that he is from the same locality or same area. मैं आपका पड़ोसी हूँ, आपकी क्लास में ही हूँ और आपके स्कूल में ही पढ़ता हूँ. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो जेन्युइन थे, बट आपको उस चीज को ध्यान रखना पड़ता है कि एकदम से इतने कोइंसिडेंसेस नहीं हो सकते. कि अगर आप इतने टाइम से रह रहे हो और वो बच्चे ने भी उस चीज को ध्यान नहीं दिया और उसने कुछ रिएक्ट भी नहीं किया, बट जब 2 दिन बाद उसने अपनी मॉम को, जो टीचर थी, उनको बताया, तो उनको थोड़ा सा डाउट हुआ कि ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि इतने सालों से हम रह रहे हैं और मेरे ही स्कूल में वो बच्चा पढ़ रहा है और मैं ही नहीं जानती कि एक और कोई स्टूडेंट है जो हमारी लोकेलिटी में रहता है. तो वो बच्चे से बातें करके, उनसे डिस्कशंस करके, चैट करके या गेम्स के थ्रू आप सबसे वो आपकी जानकारी निकलवाते हैं, आपसे पूछते हैं. लगता है कि हाँ, आपसे कोई फ्रेंड पूछ रहा है, आपकी एज का या आपके बारे में बातचीत कर रहा है, तो आपको भी अच्छा रहता है, तो आप इजीली उस चीज को शेयर कर देते हो. तो वो सारी चीजें आपको अवॉइड करनी है, उसी के ही वजह से आपको अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन को सिक्योर रखना है. तो वही सारी चीजें हम आज के सेशन में आपको बताना चाह रहे हैं कि कैसे आप अपने आप को सेफ रख सकते हो. तो जैसे एक क्वेश्चन भी आया था अरूप सर, इफ यू वांट टू आंसर अभी या बाद में, कि हाउ कैन वी प्रिवेंट आवर डिवाइसेस और मोबाइल फ्रॉम साइबर हैकिंग. सो अगर अभी इसमें है या
I will take up the answers later. In fact, I particularly was going through the live chat, and I'm seeing a lot of interesting questions that are coming up there. And I specifically wanted to point out one of the boys, or I think one of our friends out there. I think I'm pointing to one of the gentlemen who believes that some of the things that we're discussing out here are too too elementary for them. I think this is, as I mentioned, your generation is far smarter and well equipped digitally than a lot of people out there, which includes people like us and more people who may be probably older than me, right? Therefore, the idea is to create a common body of knowledge. A child, your knowledge levels may not be the same as the knowledge level for a 5th grade student. This particular program is hosted for children across different age groups. So please have patience. If you believe that there is some content that you already have understanding of, or you understand that subject well, probably you don't need these elementary classes or messaging from our end, but let the others benefit from this session. That's just a small humble request to you, right? And I'm more than happy to address any advanced questions that you may have, provided that's within my span of capability to answer. Can we move next, Swati? Right. We want to talk about a little bit about digital footprints, right? As I said, footprints or पदचिन्ह जिसके बारे में हम बात करते हैं. We all think we get online, we go incognito on our browsers, we go through a VPN channel, we go anonymous on the internet. Nobody can recognize us. We can do all those dark little things out there on the internet without leaving any footprints. It's all myth. While there are things that people can do on the internet without leaving any trails, really on the particular machine from where they're doing things. But there are enough peripheral evidences available which leave a trail of digital evidence behind you. Right? If somebody really needs to trace you, it's again a question of will, the amount of resource and the amount of damage that you have done basis whatever you are currently trying to pursue on the internet. Right? This is a messaging only to the people who probably engage in acts like this, and I'm sure they understand what I'm trying to tell them. Right? Digital footprints from the point of view of a child. Can we just go back, please, to the screen? Digital footprints are basically anything that we share on the internet, right? Whether you write an email, whether you send a photograph on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram channels, whether your parents have shared your birthday pictures with their friends on a WhatsApp profile, uh, whether you have accidentally shared or interacted with somebody with a photograph on the profile while you have been talking to them on Instagram or any other chat social media platforms or that you may be working with. These things are probably leave a permanent mark out there. While you may delete them, some of these things get cached on the internet. This also holds true for the searches and the online activity that you perform. Because there are multiple things that go on out there on the internet, which is crawlers. There are media. There are a lot of profitable groups on the internet who use your information, your location information, your browser information, and the content you use and the sites that you visit to define your own profiling to be able to serve you ads and generate ad revenue. Right? And a lot of this information can also be tracked back by the agencies who are intermediaries, who are service providers, who are providing you internet, the people who are responsible for disseminating this content, providers like Google, where your searches are currently being indexed for prioritization and relativity, or the mail service providers from where you are currently sending an email. Right? A lot of people think that if I change my identity, I use a proxy server or I use anonymous gateway to send a mail to bully somebody, will go unnoticed. Right? It's not that straightforward. So my only recommendation, without getting into any details, is please refrain from performing anything which is antisocial or illegal on the internet. Right? There is enough of good things that you can do using these channels, and staying away from any form of criminal activities or antisocial activities is probably the need of the hour for the future generation of our country. Right? Sharing is a big problem because a lot of times, more than us sharing our own pictures, right, or a lot of our own information, our parents end up sort of sharing our information. For example, you won a trophy in the school for, let's say, the best student of a particular quarter or for the year. Your parents may just go to Facebook and put up your video with the name of the school and the grade in which you passed, along with the photograph and the small video clip out there with your family and friends. If your parents' social media profile is not protected, or if it is not localized to, or if it is not restricted to your friends and family, it can reach out to more people than it should be reaching out to. So therefore, it is important for you to educate your mother, your grandparents, etc., who may be a little more technically well equipped as much as you are. Right? I'll take a pause there and move to the next slide. Right. Phishing. While this may not be a very big problem for you at this point of time, because I'm not sure till what grade are we really addressing here, Swati. But a lot of I'm assuming that school children may not really be at this point of time carrying out banking transactions or probably utilizing OTPs for executing transactions or any form of verification processes which are used with multi-factor authentication, right? Or basically utilizing passwords which may be giving access to financial instruments. However, it is very important for you to understand phishing, because you have to understand phishing or jalsazi जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं. The word phishing comes from the fishing hook, right? How do you lure? How do you fish? आप पानी में कांटा डालते हो, उसके ऊपर एक चारा लगाते हो और उसमें मछली आके फंस जाती है. मछली वो चारा 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 खाने के लालच में आके कांटे में अपना मुंह डालती है और फंस जाती है. That is exactly what happens with the victims. Right? The victims fall prey because they think that this is going to benefit me. If I don't do this, I will lose out on something. If I don't do this, my bank account may get frozen. If I don't do this, I may not get access to the latest medicines available for COVID-19. If I don't do this, I may not get my vaccination on time. And especially more so in COVID-19, phishing attacks have probably increased multifold because of what we call as fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Right? डर, unpredictability, आपको पता नहीं आगे क्या होने वाला है, और doubt, अगर मैंने नहीं किया तो क्या होगा? Right? So a lot of people have fallen prey to magical cures, charities which were illegal. People have fallen prey to illegal medicines or vaccination campaigns, somebody promising them that they would get vaccinated faster than the other people, and or even fake medicines for that matter. Right? People have fallen prey to fake medicines being made accessible to them through channels or illegal channels. So these are the kind of things that you need to be worried about. Phishing by definition itself is somebody trying to lure you to do something, right? Which in the end, you are going to lose out, and that person will gain access to either your username, password, or some form of may benefit from you financially. The simplest example that I can take here is, let's say your grandfather receives a message from State Bank of India, right? Stating that Mr. XYZ, Mr. Sharma, आपके बैंक अकाउंट का KYC कंप्लीट नहीं है, आपके बैंक अकाउंट को डॉर्मेंट और फ्रीज किया जाता है. अगर आपको अपना अकाउंट फ्रीज करने से बचना है तो आप ये नंबर पे कॉल कीजिए और ये नंबर से बात कीजिए. उसके 2 मिनट बाद वो मैसेज आने के बाद आपको एक फोन आता है मोबाइल नंबर से, और वो बोलता है कि मैं SBI बैंक SBI से बात कर रहा हूँ, XYZ है. उसके बाद आपका नाम भी होगा, उसके बाद आपके कुछ डिटेल्स भी होंगे. वो बोलेगा कि आपके बैंक अकाउंट में फ्रीज हो गया है, आपने बैंक खाते में इतने से ऑपरेट नहीं किया है, और हो भी सकता है कि आप ग्रैंड पेरेंट ने कुछ दिनों से बैंक एक्सेस नहीं भी किया हो, और वो डर के मारे उनको बोलते हैं कि हम आपके बैंक का एक OTP जनरेट करें, आप हमारे को OTP दीजिए, मैं आपका बैंक अकाउंट एक्टिवेट कर देते हैं. The minute the person passes on the OTP to the individual, these people end up losing money from their account. Right? This is the most common type, or probably in layman's term that I've currently explained, is the kind of fraud that you see in day-to-day lives. The biggest victims of these are non-computer savvy, non-phone savvy people, senior citizens, people who have left their hard-earned money in the banks, and or any other. It could happen with Paytm, it could happen with your Google Pay, with a fake link being sent. It could happen on any of the online auctioning sites from where you buy second-hand goods or sell second-hand goods. And so banking is a space where this is a very, very common type of a fraud. Right? So more than you, I think you need to be careful on how your parents, your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, your nana, your nani treat these kind of messages. Under no circumstances, somebody from a bank will ever ask you to share your password or an OTP. These are secret instruments that only you are supposed to use. Whenever in doubt, call the bank directly or visit the bank. Right? So that's a simple example of what phishing is all about. I'll take a pause here on phishing. There's an example that's on the screen, and you will have access to this video. The first well-known phishing attack is the story of Helen and Troy. Right? I'm sure a lot of you would have heard the story of the Trojan horse, where the Greek mythology story spoke about the Trojan horse which was placed outside a castle, which was unbreakable, unbeatable. And they thought that it is a gift from the enemy after they have lost the war. But that horse, or the Trojan horse, actually was a decoy. एक hollow horse था बड़ा, जिसके अंदर soldiers बैठे हुए थे. और जब horse castle के अंदर ले लिया उन्होंने, उसके बाद रात को उन्होंने वो castle को conquer करके वहाँ का पूरा उन्होंने control ले लिया. So this was the worst well-known example of phishing, or what we call as a Trojan horse or a decoy, in the history of books that we have currently, in story books that we read. Can we move next, please? Swati, are you able to hear me? Right. I think I've already spoken about how do you watch out for phishing. So we can probably skip this slide. Right. What do you do when you become a victim? Right. A very, very important question. Our government has taken a lot of measures in terms of providing cybercrime related support to common people. Right. Maybe a decade back, things were a little different when people had to go to the police station, file a complaint. The police officers probably were not technically equipped to understand what a cybercrime case needed to be handled. Then you were sent to a special police station which used to handle these cases. Now the process is fairly simplified. The overall law enforcement process is moved many notches up, and usually you will find a much better response in the event of a cybercrime. So it is encouraged by the government of India to report cyber related complaints or any form of fraud. For example, if you lose money from your bank or get victim of a UPI transaction fraud where somebody is victimized or duped you with money, report the crime online on cybercrime.gov.in, or reach out to number 1930, or to your latest or your closest police station to report the crime. Many of these cases are being solved. I know these cases are very difficult to trace because of the source and destination of the victim and the attacker. Sometimes the victim could be sitting in New Delhi and the attacker could be sitting somewhere in West Bengal, right? So tracing these people also becomes really complicated. However, there are a lot of measures that have been put into place that are able to take these things into account, and it will also help you recover the money from the bank in terms of either the bank providing you coverage for some of these things that you have lost out as a part of a cyber fraud. Right, this being an area which is more related to the legal aspects, this is only from the perspective of messaging that you should know that there is a government system in place today which is very well equipped to deal with cyber crime today, and it is getting better by the day. Can we move next? Right. I think what we'll do is we have about 8 minutes left. I just want to spend 2 minutes on the we will just spend 2 minutes on cybersecurity as a career, and then I will jump into the question Q&A for 5 minutes and take on any questions that the teams may have. Anything that I can address on this call, on the meeting today. So can we move next? Right. So cybersecurity as a career, right? I can tell you upfront that any of you are pursuing a technical career or who are interested in the world of anything to do with technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, software programming, or anything that relates to real life or digital space, cybersecurity is going to be revolving around it, and cybersecurity will be needed everywhere. There are predominant courses right from school now till post graduation level education that is available for uh, cyber cyber related or basically information security and cyber security, which is available. And there are plethora of well recognized certifications that are currently available, which can be taken up at different stages of your career in being able to shape you up into a good cybersecurity professional. Courses, etc., are all secondary. It is important that you build a foundation yourself. You have to understand the essence of computing, and on top of that, build on how do you understand cybersecurity. Do you want to get into the realm of protection? Do you want to get in the realm of legal protection from cybercrime? Do you want to become a software programmer who writes code for developing better cybersecurity technologies? Do you want to become a do you want to join the defense or the law enforcement groups in being preventing cybercrime or performing cyber forensics? So there are multiple avenues in which you can currently operate. There are innumerable opportunities, and I can tell you there is a huge demand versus supply gap today in cybersecurity professionals in India and globally. So cybersecurity will not go out of fashion for a very long time. People like me are turning into dinosaurs anyway, so it's time that fresh blood such as yours start getting infused in the system so that we can retire and get out of the system. Right? Can we move to the next slot? Next slide, please. Right. These are just examples of the areas where cybernetic professionals are in need. Whether you get into government, whether you get into defense, whether you get into consulting, healthcare, banking, insurance, there is no place where cybersecurity is currently not required. Right? I at this point of time, I need 20 more cybersecurity professionals in my team. Right? We are looking for them. So I can just tell you that the demand is everywhere. Right? And this should be a good career direction for you, for anybody who is pursuing cybersecurity. With that, I would probably call this presentation an end and take on a few questions which Vaibhav, you may want to curate and just let me know.
Sure, sir. So first question which we got was that how can we prevent our devices such as mobile, laptop, etc. from cyber hacking?
Okay, so it's a very broad question. Uh, any device which needs to be protected first needs to be first built and run with the right software, right? So I think Tarang covered earlier in the slides that you must use genuine software. You should not use bootlegged or pirated softwares, jailbroken Android OS or Apple OSs on your phone. Make sure your operating systems are updated, because when an operating system update is released, right, or when patches are released, they are released for certain bugs that the manufacturers or software publishers identify, which allows attackers to break into your devices. Over and above that, there's a very large ecosystem of software publishers which typically create something which is known as antivirus or anti-malware, or basically endpoint security solutions. These softwares prevent exploits or bad programs or bad applications from running on your device or taking control of your device, right? So these are a few fundamental things that you must put into place. One, ensure the genuineness of the operating system and the software that you run. Keep it periodically updated using latest antivirus, anti-malware solutions, endpoint security solutions, and also turning on firewalls if the firewall capability is available on your computer or with the ISPs that you're currently working with. In a nutshell, that is the answer I would like to provide.
So leading to that, there was a question that what is a firewall and VPN and how it is related to cyber security?
Sure, very nice question. I wish I could answer this offline. The time that I've left with, it's very difficult for me to answer both these questions, but I will try to still take a shot at it. Firewall is nothing but it is a point. I would call this, just imagine your house is a castle and there's a moat around it. Moat is basically, पुराने जमाने में जो castles हुआ करते थे उसके चारों तरफ नदी बहती रहती थी छोटी सी, उसके अंदर crocodiles हुआ करते थे, उसके अंदर you know जलता हुआ तेल डाल देते थे लोग जब भी कोई एनिमी अटैक करता था, और वो पानी के ऊपर से आने के लिए सिर्फ एक मोट होता था, सिर्फ एक पतला सा रास्ता रहता था. Only the people who were validated could enter into the castle, and there was no other way to break into the castle. So firewall is basically nothing but your perimeter or the fire built around your house, which prevents the bad guys from coming inside, right? And you define who comes into your house and who goes out from your house, right? Unknown intruders, unknown applications, unknown ports communicating from the internet are usually not permitted through internet or through a network firewall or an intrusion prevention platform or an application level firewall, right? A VPN is typically an end-to-end private network that gets created between an endpoint to a destination, so that any traffic that is flowing between the two, the source and the destination, cannot be sniffed by an outsider, because the end-to-end tunnel is encrypted, right? As I said, you may want to read about it in more detail. It's a fairly detailed, because VPN has multiple different types, right? There is network to network level VPN. There is endpoint to a network connecting VPN. There is cloud level zero trust based VPN architecture, which are basically built on software defined perimeter policies. So there are multiple ways in VPNs can be established, but VPN is basically to ensure that the data flowing from your endpoint to the destination can be encrypted. And that is a simple answer to this question here.
Thank you, sir. One question which I can also answer was that how to become a cyber smart school. So Poonam raised this question in the chat. So, ma'am, you must have got an email from Atal Innovation Mission also to be part of this. Otherwise, you can contact me, and we will take you and make your schools the cyber smart schools. So I think most of the questions which are there are being covered in the slides, and we are just on time. So anyone else who has any question can just
Somebody has
mention that.
posted a question. I think Jamil, how to protect school documents, right? I think you may be referring to a lot of documents that you currently receive on your teams and the online communicators that your school may have equipped you with to perform day-to-day activities like your exams, etc., that you carry out, your MCQs, the papers, etc., that you write. Usually you store it on your own office computer, in your own home computers. As Tarang was mentioning, you could take a backup of these files. Usually you send these files back to your school, because your schools would definitely be having a data center where they would be archiving these documents, either in print format or in the form of digital documents. Otherwise, what you can do is you can create a folder on your computer where you can keep all your important documents, and you can keep backing up this particular folder into free services such as a Google Drive, which you may be using for Google Mail if you're using a Gmail. The Google provides Google Drive as a free service. If you're using Microsoft OneDrive, you can store it on Microsoft OneDrive identity, and they provide you a fairly large amount of space. So that at least ensures that your data is stored in two locations. So if your data is deleted from one place accidentally, you can retrieve your data from the other locations. Right, let me just quickly scroll through. If there is any other question, I think we just have a minute left to close this. Nothing much here. So with that, I will call it a close on the session. Swati, over to you.
Thank you so much, Arup. Thank you so much, Tarang and Vaibhav. This was really informative for me and for our team, as well as all the children, teachers, mentors watching this out there. This video for everyone is going to be here on the AIM YouTube page. You can always access it if you want to refer to it or share it with your friends. It's very helpful, I think, for everyone. And once again, I would like to thank our speakers today and waiting to see all your innovations that are going to come in for the marathon this year. Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
the best.
Bye and happy Holi, everyone.
Yeah, happy
Thank
Holi to
you.
everyone.
Happy Holi. So all I can say is stay safe and stay cyber safe.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Take care. Bye.
You.